Most people live their entire lives without ever coming close to realizing their true potential. They settle into routines, habits, and expectations imposed upon them by society, family, and even their own fears. They assume that who they are today is all they will ever be. But this is one of the greatest misconceptions a person can have. Your potential is vast, far beyond what you can currently imagine. The problem is that very few people ever take the steps necessary to uncover it. They remain trapped in self-imposed limitations, avoiding challenges and making excuses for why they cannot achieve more. Human beings have an extraordinary capacity for growth. The issue is not that people are incapable, but rather that they do not push themselves hard enough to discover what they are truly capable of. Think about it. Have you ever been in a situation where you had no choice but to rise to the occasion, where failure simply wasn't an option? You likely found reserves of strength, intelligence, and resilience that you didn't even know existed. That is the nature of human potential. It is hidden beneath layers of doubt, comfort, and avoidance. Only when you push yourself beyond what is familiar do you begin to see what you are truly made of. The unfortunate truth is that most people have been conditioned to believe in their own limitations. They have been told from a young age what they can and cannot do, what is realistic, what is safe, and what is acceptable. Over time, these messages become ingrained, shaping their self-perception and placing invisible barriers around their ambitions. But these barriers are not real. They are constructs of the mind, and like any construct, they can be dismantled. Your potential is not fixed. It expands and grows in direct proportion to your willingness to face challenges. If you only ever do what is easy, you will never get stronger. If you avoid difficulty, you will never develop resilience. And if you refuse to take responsibility for your own growth, you will never become what you could be. The key to unlocking your potential lies in your ability to embrace discomfort, to voluntarily seek out challenges that force you to grow, and to take full responsibility for your own development. One of the greatest tragedies in life is wasted potential. There are countless individuals who could have been great, who could have built something incredible, changed the world, or left behind a legacy. But they never did because they refused to push themselves. They let fear dictate their actions. They chose the path of least resistance. They settled for mediocrity because it was comfortable. And in doing so, they deprived not only themselves, but also the world of what they could have contributed. You do not want to be one of those people. You do not want to look back on your life and realize that you spent most of it playing small, avoiding risk, and never fully committing to anything meaningful. The regret of unfulfilled potential is one of the most painful burdens a person can carry. But the good news is that it is never too late to change. If you want to tap into your potential, you must start by challenging your own self-imposed limitations. Question every assumption you have about what you can and cannot do. If you believe you are not smart enough, strong enough, or talented enough to achieve something, ask yourself, is that really true? Or is it just something I have come to believe over time? More often than not, you will find that your limitations are nothing more than conditioned beliefs that can be rewritten. Next, you must actively seek out situations that force you to grow. Do things that scare you. Take on challenges that seem beyond your current abilities. Push yourself further than you think you can go. Growth only happens when you step outside your comfort zone, and the further you push, the more you will realize just how much you are truly capable of. Another crucial factor in unlocking your potential is discipline. People often wait for motivation to strike before they take action, but motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes. Discipline, on the other hand, is what allows you to consistently make progress regardless of how you feel. If you commit to improving yourself every single day, even in small ways, the results over time will be astonishing. You will look back a year from now and barely recognize the person you once were. Finally, you must have a vision for your life that is greater than your current circumstances. Without a vision, you will drift. You need a compelling goal, something that excites you, challenges you, and forces you to grow in the pursuit of it. This vision should be something that stretches you, something that requires you to become a better version of yourself in order to achieve it. When you have a vision that truly matters to you, it becomes much easier to push through fear, doubt, and difficulty. The reality is that you have no idea what you are truly capable of until you test yourself. You might think you are weak, but when put in the right circumstances, you could discover an inner strength that is beyond anything you imagined. You might believe you are not creative, but given the right challenge, you could unlock a level of innovation that surprises even you. Your potential is not fixed, and it is not small. It is vast, waiting to be discovered. The only question is, will you have the courage to uncover it? Life is full of uncertainty, suffering, and hardship. No one escapes this reality. At some point, everyone faces difficulties, whether it be personal struggles, losses, disappointments, or failures. The question is not whether you will encounter challenges, but how you will respond to them. Many people spend their lives trying to avoid responsibility, hoping that by doing so, they can minimize their suffering. But the truth is that avoiding responsibility only makes life more difficult in the long run. It leads to a shallow existence, one that is directionless, empty, and unfulfilling. The antidote to this is responsibility. Taking on responsibility gives life depth, meaning, and purpose. Responsibility is often misunderstood. People associate it with burdens, obligations, and restrictions. They see it as something that weighs them down, something that limits their freedom. But this is a false perception. True responsibility does not take away from life, it enhances it. It provides structure, direction, and a sense of accomplishment. It transforms aimlessness into purpose and chaos into order. Responsibility is what gives life meaning because it connects you to something greater than yourself. Imagine a person who avoids responsibility entirely. They refuse to commit to anything significant. They drift from job to job, relationship to relationship, never fully investing in anything. They blame others for their problems, make excuses for their failures, and refuse to take ownership of their own shortcomings. On the surface, it might seem like they are free from obligations, free from pressure, free from expectations. But in reality, they are lost. They lack a sense of direction. They feel unfulfilled. They have nothing to strive toward, nothing that pushes them to grow. Now contrast that with someone who embraces responsibility. This person decides to take control of their life. They accept that their actions have consequences and that the only way to improve their circumstances is to take full ownership of them. They commit to becoming better, whether it be in their work, their relationships, or their personal growth. They set goals, work hard, and persevere through difficulties. Over time, they build something meaningful. They create a life that is rich with purpose. One of the most powerful aspects of responsibility is that it gives you a reason to keep going even when things are difficult. Life is hard for everyone at some point. There will be moments of struggle, times when you feel overwhelmed, times when you want to give up. But if you have taken on responsibility, if you have something or someone to care for, you have a reason to push through. It could be your family, your work, your community, or even a personal mission that you believe in. Whatever it is, responsibility anchors you. It keeps you moving forward even when the road is tough. People often think that happiness is the goal of life, but happiness is fleeting. It comes and goes based on circumstances. If you rely on happiness alone to give your life meaning, you will find yourself constantly chasing something that is impossible to hold on to. Responsibility, on the other hand, provides something deeper. It offers a sense of fulfillment that lasts, even when life is difficult. When you take responsibility for something meaningful, you experience a kind of satisfaction that goes beyond temporary pleasure. Taking on responsibility also transforms who you are. It forces you to grow. It demands that you become stronger, more disciplined, more capable. If you have ever taken care of another person, whether it be a child, a spouse, a friend in need, you know that responsibility requires you to rise above your own selfish desires. It forces you to become someone of value. You become someone that others can rely on. You become someone who makes a difference in the world. A life without responsibility is a life without depth. It might seem easier in the short term, but in the long run, it leads to emptiness. People who avoid responsibility often find themselves feeling aimless, restless, and dissatisfied. They may seek distractions, entertainment, pleasure, or material possessions. But none of these things provide true meaning. Meaning comes from taking on something difficult and seeing it through. It comes from knowing that your actions matter, that you are contributing to something worthwhile. Of course, responsibility is not easy. It requires effort. It requires sacrifice. It means making difficult choices and doing things you may not always want to do. But this is precisely why it is so valuable. The things that matter most in life are never easy. They require work, dedication, and perseverance. And yet these are the things that make life truly meaningful. Think about the people you admire most. Chances are they are people who have taken on great responsibility. They are leaders, creators, protectors, builders. They are the ones who step up when others back down. They are the ones who take on challenges instead of avoiding them. They are the ones who make a difference. You have the ability to be one of those people. It starts with a choice, the choice to take responsibility for your own life, the choice to stop making excuses, to stop blaming others, and to start taking control of your own future. It does not mean you must take on everything at once. Responsibility grows over time. It starts with small actions, showing up, doing what needs to be done, taking care of what is in front of you. And as you take on more, you grow stronger. You become more capable. You begin to see just how much you are truly able to handle. The weight of responsibility is not something to be feared. It is something to be embraced. Because within that weight lies meaning. Within that weight lies growth. Within that weight lies the kind of life that when you reach the end, you can look back on with pride, knowing that you lived with purpose, knowing that you made a difference, knowing that your life mattered. Life is a constant balancing act between order and chaos. These two forces shape everything we do, and they define the structure of our existence. Order represents stability, predictability, and security. It is the structure that allows us to function in the world. Chaos, on the other hand, is the unknown, the unpredictable, and the disruptive. It is the force that brings change, challenges, and growth. The way we navigate between these two forces determines the quality of our lives. And understanding their roles can help us create a meaningful existence. Order is necessary because it provides a foundation. Without order, nothing can be built. Society itself is structured on rules, routines, and systems that create stability. In our personal lives, order manifests in our habits, our responsibilities, and our commitments. When things are orderly, we feel safe. We know what to expect. We can plan for the future. We wake up each day with a sense of direction, knowing what needs to be done and how to do it. Without order, life becomes overwhelming. Imagine living in a world where there were no rules, no schedules, and no structure. It would be impossible to function effectively. However, too much order can be suffocating. When everything is predictable and rigid, life loses its excitement. Growth becomes stagnant. If you live in complete order, following the same routine day after day without deviation, you may feel secure, but you also risk becoming stuck. There is no challenge, no adventure, and no opportunity for self-discovery. A life that is entirely structured leaves no room for creativity, exploration, or new experiences. This is where chaos comes in. Chaos is the unknown, the unpredictable, the force that disrupts order and forces us to adapt. Chaos is present in every major transition in life. The moment we step into a new environment, face an unexpected challenge, or take a risk that pushes us beyond our comfort zone. It is uncomfortable, often frightening, and yet it is essential for growth. Without chaos, we would never evolve. We would never push ourselves to become more than we are. The most transformative moments in life often come from chaos. The moments when everything falls apart. When we are forced to confront our weaknesses, when we must rebuild ourselves from the ground up. The key to a meaningful life is not to eliminate chaos or to cling too tightly to order, but to find a balance between the two. Too much order leads to rigidity, stagnation, and an unwillingness to change. Too much chaos leads to instability, confusion, and an inability to make progress. Life requires both. Order gives us stability, but chaos pushes us forward. We must learn to exist at the edge of both, structured enough to have direction, but open enough to embrace uncertainty. When people resist chaos entirely, they become trapped in their comfort zones. They avoid taking risks, they fear failure, and they remain stuck in routines that no longer serve them. But when people lean too far into chaos, they become lost. They lack discipline, they drift aimlessly, and they struggle to build anything meaningful. The most successful people in any field are those who have mastered the balance between order and chaos. They have structure, but they also embrace the unknown. They follow principles, but they are adaptable. They plan, but they are willing to change when necessary. Consider an artist. If an artist has no structure, no discipline, and no commitment to their craft, they will never create anything meaningful. But if they are too rigid, too focused on following the rules without allowing for creativity, their work becomes lifeless. The best artists, like the best individuals in any field, understand how to balance structure with spontaneity, discipline with exploration. This applies to all areas of life: work, relationships, personal growth. A good relationship requires stability and commitment, but it also needs excitement, unpredictability, and spontaneity. A fulfilling career requires discipline and structure, but it also requires the ability to adapt, take risks, and embrace change. A strong mind requires knowledge and certainty, but it also requires curiosity, the willingness to question, and the courage to explore new ideas. One of the most common struggles people face is dealing with the chaos that life inevitably brings. There will always be unexpected hardships, failures, and moments of uncertainty. Many people try to resist this by seeking total control, attempting to force everything into a predictable pattern. But this is impossible. No matter how much you try to control the world around you, chaos will always find a way in. The better approach is to learn how to navigate it, to build enough order in your life so that you have a foundation, but to be flexible enough to face the unknown without fear. When chaos enters your life, instead of resisting it, ask yourself, what is this trying to teach me? What can I learn from this challenge? How can I grow from this experience? Often, the greatest opportunities for transformation come from the moments when things fall apart. It is in these moments that you discover who you truly are. You find out how strong you can be, how resourceful you are, and how much potential you truly have. Likewise, if you feel stuck in too much order, if your life feels monotonous, predictable, or uninspiring, it may be time to introduce some chaos voluntarily. Take a risk. Step into the unknown. Challenge yourself with something difficult. Seek out experiences that push you beyond what you know. This does not mean recklessness. It means embracing the uncertainty that leads to growth. Life is not meant to be completely predictable, nor is it meant to be entirely chaotic. It is in the balance between these two forces that we find meaning. Order keeps us grounded, but chaos pushes us to grow. By learning to embrace both, by finding the space where structure meets the unknown, we create a life that is both stable and dynamic, both secure and exciting, both disciplined and free. This is the path to true fulfillment. The ability to stand at the edge of order and chaos, knowing that both are necessary, and walking forward with confidence into the unknown. Truth is the most powerful tool you have. It is the foundation upon which everything meaningful is built. Your character, your relationships, your success, and your ability to navigate the world. Yet truth is often difficult. It requires courage, discipline, and a willingness to face reality, even when that reality is uncomfortable. Many people avoid truth because it is painful. They deceive themselves, tell half-truths, or construct elaborate stories to justify their actions. But in doing so, they weaken themselves. They become fragile, unable to confront challenges head-on, and ultimately, they suffer the consequences of living in falsehood. When you embrace truth, when you make it your guiding principle, you become stronger. You see the world as it is, not as you wish it to be. You gain clarity, integrity, and resilience. Truth is not just about honesty with others. It starts with honesty with yourself. It is about recognizing your weaknesses, admitting your mistakes, and acknowledging the areas in your life that need improvement. It is about stripping away illusions and dealing with reality directly. This is not easy, but it is necessary if you want to grow into the best version of yourself. One of the greatest dangers in life is self-deception. People often tell themselves stories to justify their failures, to avoid responsibility, or to protect their egos. They convince themselves that they are victims of circumstances, that their shortcomings are someone else's fault, or that they are doing better than they really are. But these lies do not protect them. They weaken them. When you deceive yourself, you are building your life on a weak foundation. Eventually, reality catches up and the illusion collapses. If you want to be strong, you must be brutally honest with yourself. Where are you falling short? What are you avoiding? What lies have you told yourself to make life easier? These are difficult questions, but they are necessary. The moment you confront the truth, you take the first step toward real change. When you acknowledge your flaws, you can work on them. When you admit your mistakes, you can correct them. When you face your fears, you can overcome them. Truth is also essential in your interactions with others. Trust is built on honesty, and without trust, relationships crumble. When you lie, whether to protect yourself, to manipulate, or to avoid conflict, you damage the foundation of your relationships. Lies may seem convenient in the short term, but they always come at a cost. They erode trust, create instability, and ultimately lead to suffering. Speaking the truth, even when it is difficult, establishes integrity. It strengthens your relationships and makes you someone who can be relied upon. However, truth must be wielded wisely. It is not about being harsh, reckless, or cruel. There is a difference between truth that is constructive and truth that is destructive. Speaking the truth should be done with care, with the intent to build rather than to tear down. Being truthful does not mean being insensitive. It means being courageous enough to say what needs to be said, but wise enough to say it in a way that fosters understanding and growth. And in a world filled with deception, half-truths, and misinformation, truth is rare. Many people are afraid to speak it because they fear rejection, criticism, or consequences. But truth is what sets you apart. It gives you a foundation of strength in a world full of illusions. The person who speaks the truth, who stands by their principles, who refuses to compromise their integrity, that is the person who commands respect, who is trusted, and who makes a real impact. Truth is also a weapon against fear. Fear thrives in the unknown, in uncertainty, in the stories we tell ourselves about what might happen. When you face the truth, you strip fear of its power. You stop running from reality and you begin to deal with it directly. The person who embraces truth is not easily manipulated, not easily broken. They see things clearly, they act with conviction, and they are not controlled by illusions. There will be times when speaking the truth is difficult. It may cost you friendships, opportunities, or comfort. But the alternative, living in lies, is far worse. A life built on falsehood is unstable. It is weak. It will eventually collapse under the weight of reality. But a life built on truth, though difficult, is unshakable. It provides strength, resilience, and purpose. If you want to live a meaningful life, make truth your greatest weapon. Be honest with yourself. Face your flaws. Speak with integrity. Stand by what is right, even when it is difficult. When you do this, you will become someone who is unbreakable. Someone who can navigate life's challenges with clarity, strength, and purpose. Truth is not just something you speak, it is something you live. And when you live by truth, you become unstoppable.